Every great breakthrough in your life was preceded by a moment where you almost quit. That's not a coincidence. It's a law of nature that's been understood for thousands of years, and once you see it, you'll never look at failure the same way again. By the end of this, you'll understand why your darkest moments aren't signs that you're on the wrong path. They're actually proof that you're closer than you think. And the ancient principle behind this could change how you handle every setback from this point forward. It's called the Hermetic Principle of Rhythm. It comes from a body of teachings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure blending Greek and Egyptian wisdom traditions. The core idea is deceptively simple. Everything flows, out and in, forward and back, rise and fall. The pendulum swings one way, and it must swing back the other. You see this everywhere once you start looking. The tides rise and retreat. Economies boom and then contract. Your own energy peaks in the morning and dips in the afternoon. Rhythm is woven into every layer of reality, from the orbits of planets down to the beating of your heart. But here's where it gets personal. This same rhythm operates in your goals, your motivation, and your emotional life. You start a new project full of fire. You're excited, productive, unstoppable. Then, almost without warning, the momentum vanishes. Doubt creeps in. Progress stalls. Everything feels harder than it should. You start wondering if you were foolish to even try. Sound familiar? Most people interpret this dip as a signal to stop. They think the resistance means they chose wrong. But the principle of rhythm says the opposite. The dip isn't a malfunction, it's the pendulum completing its arc. And what comes after the lowest point of a pendulum swing? The rise back up. Think of it like pulling back a bowstring. The further you draw it back, the more tension builds. It feels like you're moving in the wrong direction. But all that resistance is storing energy. And when you release, the arrow flies further than it ever could without that tension. Now here's the part most people miss, and it's the reason this principle is so powerful. The lowest point of the swing, that moment right before breakthrough, is where almost everyone gives up. They're standing 3 feet from gold, and they turn around, not because the gold isn't there, but because the rhythm made the darkness feel permanent. The dip tricks you into believing the falling is all there is. History is full of examples. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. He went bankrupt multiple times before Disneyland became a reality. His lowest point came right before his greatest success. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before a restaurant finally said yes to his fried chicken recipe. He was 65 years old, broke, living off Social Security checks. The pendulum had swung so far back that most people would have accepted defeat as final. But they didn't. And that's the key distinction. If you're finding this fascinating, consider subscribing. We explore ideas like this every week, the kind of knowledge that actually shifts how you see the world. So how do you use this principle instead of being used by it? The Hermetic teachings actually offer an answer. It's called the law of neutralization. You can't stop the pendulum from swinging. That's impossible. Rhythm is a universal law, but you can refuse to be swung with it. Imagine you're sitting on a swing at a playground. The swing moves back and forth, but you can choose to stay centered and still while it moves beneath you. That's neutralization. You acknowledge the rhythm without letting it control your inner state. In practical terms, this means when you hit that low point, you don't collapse into it. You observe it. You say, this is the pendulum. This is rhythm doing what rhythm does. The falling doesn't mean I'm failing. It means the swing is about to reverse. This isn't toxic positivity. It's not pretending everything is fine. It's a strategic awareness of how cycles work. When you're in the dip, you conserve energy. You maintain your course. You don't make permanent decisions based on a temporary phase. And here's something even more interesting. The deeper the dip, the higher the coming rise. That's how pendulums work, equal and opposite. So when you're in the worst of it, when everything feels impossible and pointless, that's actually information. It's telling you the magnitude of what's coming next. Think about your own life for a moment. Your greatest periods of growth probably came right after your hardest seasons. The best relationship you've had might have followed the worst heartbreak. Your career breakthrough might have arrived after months of rejection. That pattern isn't random, it's rhythm. The ancient Hermeticists believed that mastering this principle was one of the keys to true wisdom. Not avoiding the lows, because you can't, but understanding them so deeply that they lose their power to break you. When you know winter always leads to spring, you stop panicking when the temperature drops. Most people live at the mercy of these cycles. They ride the highs with reckless confidence and crumble during the lows with equal intensity. But those who understand rhythm develop something rare: steadiness. They keep working when motivation disappears. They keep believing when evidence is thin, not out of blind faith, but because they understand the architecture of how change actually works. So the next time you feel like everything is falling apart, right when you're about to quit, Ask yourself one question. What if this isn't the end of my story, but the bowstring being pulled back? Because the people who changed the world weren't the ones who never faced the dip. They were the ones who recognized it for what it was and refused to let go at the bottom of the swing.